Yo, JD here, Tyrrell Limis, and we are here for round 7 of the Inside Line Racing League at Germany, Hockenheim here today. And after last race, I was coming into this with a lot of confidence after coming from last to first at Silverstone, which made me take the championship lead by 1 point. So that was, if you haven't checked that out, I'll leave a link in the description because that's probably the best league race I've ever done in my life. But coming into this one, Germany, a track I really do like actually. It's a track I've always gone well at in my league racing on previous games and WOR when I won last season. And yeah, I was really looking forward to this. Going to be the one stop. Unfortunately, one of those tracks where you go have to be starting on a slightly harder tyre, which is the soft tyre. So it's a bit of a one shot or a 2-lap shot qualifying. And yeah, ideally you want to be aiming for a 10-second lap. But yeah, in practice I was doing quite a few 10s, 11 zeros. And as I said, leading the championship on 1 point from LCR Leopard now. So I think we've got 5 races to go, including this one. So it's going to be pretty much almost going down to the wire. And the lap so far is going quite well, actually. Normally the second lap on these tyres is the quicker laps are fueled up. Hopefully you're fueling up for 2 laps. And coming into this last sector now, should be a relatively low 11 here. Did a 12.1, but actually did 11.8 on the medium lap, which didn't count. So the setup was feeling quite good. The lap time was quite good, especially in qualifying. It was quite good because tyres are quite difficult to manage. And now we're starting our second lap on these tyres here. And as I said, usually you go a little bit quicker. Currently in P5 behind LCR Leopard, who's currently in P4. So it's really crucial that we just try and extend our championship lead, especially with Monza coming up next, which throughout my league racing career really on the F1 games, I've never really had pace and I've never really had good results around there. I've either disconnected or yeah, it's always been quite a difficult race, so I really need to maximise it here as much as possible and really take the benefit of the tracks that I have remaining. So coming into the end of the second sector, we're currently green but almost a 10th up, making a little bit more time through here now, so about a 10th and a bit up through here, and we're actually going purple in this middle sector and just going a slightly out wide, which means we invalidate our lap. And the reason I really honestly did that is because I've actually made a massive mistake by not fueling the car. Yeah, didn't fuel the car for enough laps, and that was just...
Did I put the wrong fuel in?
That was literally just me just not realising how much fuel put in, and regardless we invalidate that lap, which means we start P6, and yeah, I thought I might have had just enough to get to the very end of the lap, but wasn't to be. But we start 6th, just behind my rival LCR Leopard, and yeah, we really need to get on with it now. But coming into this race, we're still in a relatively good position as long as I stay within touching distance of him. That I was pretty confident when we could do some damage this race. But now we've got 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, trying to get a good start here, but luckily it's quite a short run down into turn 1, and we haven't lost any positions, and just don't want to get damage here because it's very, very easy here because cars can brake extremely early. There's no brake lights on these cars, so literally just try and stay in tabs with Leopard. Thinking about maybe going around the outside there, and we're actually very, very close coming off this left-hander now. We've actually got a super run coming off this corner, but as I said, you certainly cannot win the race in the first lap, but you can certainly lose it. So we're not going to be super aggressive here. Really just trying to avoid being directly behind him in case there's lag or anything at all. Thinking about going round the outside, and we have to resort to actually going off the track there. But we still managed to maintain our position in 6th place in this race, and we're right behind our championship rival. So far, really, so good. I was quite confident on the tyre life and everything. As I said, even our tyre temps aren't really too much of a factor anymore. Tyre wear is actually quite a big issue around here. But one thing I just noticed is I'm having to turn so much in the car here. And the setup I'm running, when I was in practice, I was always behind someone in a slipstream. Everything. I think when I was behind people, the setup was extremely good. But looking back at this now, and I had a race in WOR on the Monday after this where I made some setup changes. I think the setup I had here was just a little bit too understeer. As you can see, we actually lost time going through turn 1 here and going towards the end of the stint, or after 4 laps, we've actually started to lose a little bit of touch, which is normally, I'd say my race pace is usually a lot stronger than my qualifying pace. So yeah, I was a bit surprised at this pace, and it just felt really, really understeer. And you can see how much we're having to turn the car here, and we're using 9 ballast, which you probably use around most tracks. Most people use 9 ballast now because of the tyre temp thing. But Leopard has actually managed to get ahead of Kyle Mitchell, and he's again overtaking another person. I'm not sure quite who that is. I think that's VSR Verstappen, which it is. So he's managed to navigate those 2 cars, which means now we've got 2 cars between myself and my championship rival LCR Leopard, and this is crucial now. We need to get on with it. But a few laps later, he's managed to pull away from them, and since Carl Mitchell was locked in the DRS train with Verstappen, who's got some great pace himself, we're kind of getting left behind, and we need to be with Leopard. We can't afford to let him get away and let this championship slip. We've got to stay with him as much as possible, and considering this is one of the tracks I was really looking forward to, right now really wasn't going too much to plan. I wasn't really expecting to be in 6th place after 11 laps in this race, so we've got to get on with it now, and eventually we're starting to do that as we've got a really nice run on Carl Mitchell, who does have DRS on VSR Verstappen, but I don't think he's really going to fight this too hard. Going down the inside, spotting the braking point pretty nicely. Coming for this corner, almost losing the car, and again, I made some changes in the race after this, but yeah, if I could have gone back now, I would have definitely changed quite a few things with this. It felt understeery, but then also oversteer on the exit as well, which is something you really, really don't want at all. That's something you don't want at all. We either want one or the other, realistically. So both ends were pretty unstable, but now we're going to make a move on the next lap on VS5 Verstappen. So now we're back behind LCR Leopard, who's actually got a little bit of a gap because he's managed to get past those cars and pull away quite quickly. And the leaders, they've got a fair distance ahead of us now. I think there's a good 3 or 4 seconds between myself and the leaders. So we're in 4th place, so we've made up 2 positions. But again, I really am looking to actually extend my championship lead rather than lose points here, because I'm only 1 point ahead in this championship. So I really just got to start getting on with it now. And now I've decided to really start throwing the car in quite a bit. And this should be about the pit stop window now. And I don't think anyone's pitted just yet. I think it's Syra and Snazzy Evening out in the lead. So let's see what happens. And it looks like someone is coming into the pits. I'm not sure who it is. I'm pretty sure that is VSR Syra, Ayla Williams, which it is, coming across the line. A 14.7, which is not really that quick. So the raw pace is just, it's not there at the moment. And that was pretty surprising. And then coming in next lap is LCR Leopard. Snazzy Evening and myself actually decided to stay out because the medium tyres are so cold. I decided to stay out because if I pit the same lap, I knew it was going to be very, very difficult to try and catch up. So I thought this is the only way I could potentially try and beat him in this race. So we're going to pit at the end of lap 14. So a very, very long time in this stint. Put on the medium tyres. But these medium tyres, they take so long to heat up. They take a good, it's like Silverstone. They take a good lap or 2 laps to actually heat up. And now, coming out of turn 1, we've actually managed to jump LCR Leopard. And somehow he was 2.6 seconds ahead. And we come out just behind. So now this is really make or break it in this race. I knew I had to heat up these tyres as quick as I possibly could, and you can see really wrestling of the car just to try and get it up to temperature. But you see, he's already got a massive acceleration off that corner because my tyres are just stone cold compared to his at the moment. He's had a full lap to heat up those tyres, but if I could just stay with him here, you can see locking up into here, really trying to push the car to the limit, putting it up into hot lap and rich. But you can see he's already starting to pull away, and we're going to be staying on board just to see in the next couple of laps, just to see if we can catch up. But luckily for me, there are some cars actually just ahead of him who he should be catching quite quickly. So I was really hoping, but again, pushing it to the absolute maximum. And we've got VSR Verstappen on the warmer tyres behind me actually catching me as well. And he's already out of the 1 second window, so basically almost jumping him coming out of the pits. We've already lost a second of this lap because the tyres are just so non-responsive at the moment. So right now I was just really focused on just trying to turn. You can see how much I'm trying to turn here as much as possible, having a lot of understeer still, but just trying to get them up to temperature as much as possible. Because if I could just keep this gap now for this lap, that means I've definitely gained well over a second just with staying out a lap later. But he's actually starting to catch some other cars. and I was really hoping he'd start to be a little bit held up. But now I can't really afford to actually look ahead. I've actually got to look behind. Verstappen Verstappen again, using all the track possible, and now hopefully my tyres are starting to just slowly come up to temperature. And luckily I've had a good enough run coming off that corner for Verstappen not to get ahead of me, because I've got a little bit of a train of cars behind me. But now this is going to be make or break it in my race here. And similar to the first stint, I can't afford Leopards to get through this pack as quick as possible. I need to be right there with him at that point in time. So now I'm pushing as hard as I can to try and catch this group, because if he gets held up, then I could gain a little bit of time. You can see he's only gained a couple of tenths this lap now, so my tyres are starting to get up to full temperature. Still got plenty of fuel and ERS left as well. So at this point, I was feeling pretty happy, a lot better than I did in the first stint. But still, again, the car, you can see how much I'm turning here. Almost 90 degrees. It's, yeah, turning a bit too much more than I did. And a 14.5 is not particularly quick, but we've actually gained another tenth in that last sector. So he's starting to get a little bit held up. And just checking to see if he's got penalties ahead of me. And if Jeff stopped talking. So yeah, Leopard hasn't got any penalties or anything at all. But again, you can see he's actually pulled out and he's actually starting to overtake TSR Bastek, who's his teammate. And again, I just cannot afford for him to just make easy overtakes here. I need to be on the back of him as quick as I can. And I was really hoping for a good battle for the lead, because if I start battling for the lead, that will slow him up. And you see, VSR has got a massive undercut, which I'm very surprised he gets a big undercut, because the tyres are so cold. And you can see Leopard was 2.6 seconds ahead of me the lap before he pitted, and I actually almost gained that time back. So I'm very surprised he's got that. There was a glitch on 2012, as if you press start coming out the pits, it would instantly heat your tyres. So I'm pretty sure that's not a thing on here, but his outlap must have been truly insane to get that kind of undercut. But again here, Leopard is shaping up the guy ahead of him, and now we're shaping up Bastek, and we need to get past him this lap. We have to get past him this lap. We cannot afford. And you can see Leopard is just absolutely pushing that guy, almost doing an overtake, going to hit. And I think he has. I think he's actually overtaken. I'm not sure who that is. I think it might be Dralex. And we've got DRS, but it looks like we're not going to be close enough to the guys ahead. And Verstappen behind me, I'm not sure what's happened to him. We've got Morso, who I think is on slightly older tyres than myself. And let's see again. I think there's a little bit of an overtake, and I think he's actually done it. He's got past all these cars and pushing him a little bit out wide here. And now we've got 3 cars ahead of him. So he's been extremely efficient when he's actually overtaking them. And I'm not sure who he's really fighting against at the moment. I think I might be Snazzy Eving, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Leopard is now at the head of this train, if I'm not mistaken. And we've just got to we just got to stay with him now and just get past this train as quick as possible. Really hoping that they maybe start pitting now. So yeah, we've got Dralex, Snazzy Eving, and Bastek ahead of me. And now I can already see he's starting to get away. So we just really need to do this as we almost make contact with that round, which actually cost me a little bit of time here. And coming across the line, let's see what kind of lap time we're doing. It's a 14.7, and that is not quick. That is really not quick. And looking at this footage myself, I think the car was just it was just too understeery, and I should have been a lot more aggressive on the setup. And you'll see that in my WOR race, which is coming out very soon. I made the car a lot more aggressive there, because I think I can get away with a very aggressive car just through my driving style. I feel it's quite smooth, so the inputs aren't really super aggressive. But you can see here, almost going full lock through there. And yeah, we need to get past Bastek. But I was really hoping Snazzy Eving and Leopard up ahead would actually start the battle a little bit, because that's the battle for P2 and P3 in this race. So hopefully we're going to get past Dralex at the end of this lap. I was kind of hoping he'd be pitting on this lap, trying to save the ERS and fuel now. And yeah, Leopard's pulled away a little bit, but we've still got 15 laps in this race to go, so it's all still game on. I do have the fresher tyres, which I definitely do plays a fairly big factor in this race. So coming through this last sector now, let's see if Dralex pits, which he does, thankfully, and this time I don't get held up like I did last lap by the Renault. Got a decent-ish gap behind me to Morso, but can't afford to relax too much. Well, actually, he's almost within a second, and we've got DRS. But moving on to lap 26 now, and yeah, the pace, it's been nowhere, this race. It's been absolutely nowhere. A 14.295 is my fastest lap. And yeah, I think that, I'm pretty sure that was with DRS as well. Ideally want to be in the 13s, and yeah, I feel I was driving really, really well. I just feel I just made the wrong setup choice, because setup, I'd actually changed quite a bit for each race. This one I was being very, very conservative, and my teammate is actually on alternate strategy. He actually started on the medium tyres and now he's on the soft. And to be honest, there's no real point fighting him, and there's no team orders in this team or anything at all. He's did the better strategy. He's driving quicker in this day, and I was hoping to really kind of use him, go to the end of the race, but unfortunately, you can see we've lost touch of our teammate, and yeah, we don't have any penalties this race, I don't think, but we just didn't have the pace this race at all, and we're going to come across the last corner, and that was a really, really disappointing race, and we come home in P5 with Leopard in P2, and yeah, always frustrating when no one gets a penalty in front of me, but you can't rely on that. That's not an excuse or anything at all. And yeah, I really wasn't happy with that. Track that I was expecting to do very well at, and getting P5 is not good enough. And if I want to win this championship, I can't be affording to get in P5s. I need to start winning more races like I did last race. So the fight for the championship is still there. I'm not quite sure what the gap is now. He was 1 point up behind me. The standings, I don't think have been updated properly yet. So let me just have a quick look quickly. So he got 18 points and I got 5 points. So he's going to be 7 points ahead of me now, if my maths is correct. So he's going to have a 7-point lead on me in this championship. So all to play for. 4 races go. Monza next. That's going to be a very difficult track for me, but Japan I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, God did the best we can. Thank you for the support as always, and I'll catch you soon.